Shalom Aleichem. Mishnah Yomi is holding in chapter 3 of Bava Batra, Perek Hazaka Batim, Mishnayot 5 and 6 today. Elu drim sheish lem hazaka. These are things, there are things that have a hazaka, that establish a hazaka. Elu drim she'ein lem hazaka. And some things do not establish a hazaka. Now the Mishnah gets into the ones that don't work, and we're talking about a shared courtyard, a hatzer hashutfim. Hayamamid behema b'chatzer. You park your donkey in a courtyard that you share with your neighbor. Or tanur, or your oven to make barbecue, kirayim, or your double stove for cooking, rechayim, or your mill for grinding, or megodol tarnagolim, or you're raising chickens in this shared courtyard, notim zivlo b'chatzer, or you're putting their fertilizer, their manure, in the courtyard to decompose and fertilize, eina hazaka. This does not establish that you own this courtyard. This is a shared courtyard, and these are activities that partners are not particular about. They were not going to object if you park your oven in your side of the courtyard. Well, yeah, maybe the partner will need to use the space. So if he needs the space, he'll ask you to move your oven for a little bit. The ovens back then were typically portable and would be, cemented in place and then moved if necessary. So raising animals or doing certain things in the chutzner, in the shared chutzner, does not establish that you are the sole owner over this courtyard, because your partner lets you do them and he can do them too. Aval, but now the Mishnah contrasts ase mechitza levchamta gavoa sar tefachim. What if you made a little pen for your animals in the shared chutzner? Now you're fencing off a little section of it for your animals' exclusive use. V'chen l'tanor, or you put a little wall around your oven so the kids don't burn themselves. Ken the kirayim, or your double stove, ken the rakayim, or you made a little enclosure for your mill area. You're kind of like walling off a little space for yourself that no one else can use. Or chiknis tarnagolin took a bayit, or you brought chickens into a bayit, a shared bayit, a bayit that you share with someone else. Also, makom the zivlo, or you make a space, hopefully out in the courtyard, not in the house, I hope. You make a space for fertilizer, amuk shlosha, that's you dig 3 deep, so they can all be gathered in one spot and not roll around. O gavoa shlosha, you make a platform for the fertilizer to be stored and decompose. That's 3 tefachim off the ground. Harei hazaka. That would establish a hazaka, because these are not activities that a partner would let you do without objection. He's going to object if you start fencing off portions of a shared courtyard, if you start bringing chickens into the house. So if the partner in this shared space does not object to this list of activities, well, it could establish a hazaka. Now, according to the Rav Bar Nura, it requires 3 years without objection, and now it's like you own that little piece that you've fenced off. It's like adverse possession here. He also cites Rabbeinu Moshe Bar Maimoni. That's Maimonides, that's the Rambam. He cites the Rambam that says when we were dealing with partners, and one partner does one of these really possessive kind of things, like fence off part of a shared property, that the partner has to object right away, or it becomes a hazaka right away. And again, the partner who's doing the fencing off would claim, hey, you sold me the right, or you gifted me the right to fence off this corner for my own exclusive use. He's not just making a claim, I fenced it off, now it's mine. He has some sort of reasonable, as we learned earlier in the chapter, some sort of reasonable claim that he has the right to do what he's doing, but without that objection, it becomes a permanent right. Let's go on to Mishnah Vav. Hamarzev. Hamarzev is the downspout from the gutter. Ein lo hazaka. That has no hazaka. Now we're dealing with the downspout is going in, it's letting the water out into the neighbor's chutzner. V'yeshlam kama hazaka, but the place has a hazaka, has an established usage right. In the Gemara, they explain, he could move the downspout. The gutter, we're going to see, runs along the length of the roof, to get the water off the roof. But the downspout, he could move it to the left side or the right side of the roof, to the middle of the roof, so he has the right to have a downspout somewhere along the gutter, but not necessarily in a specific place if it's draining out into the neighbor's area. HaMazchila, the mazchila, is actually the gutter that runs the width of the entire roof. Yesh la hazaka. Once you put up a gutter and it's, collecting the water off your roof and then it's draining somewhere into the neighbor's courtyard, well, once you put it up, the neighbor could object immediately, and if not, well, he's kind of stuck with the gutter there, and everyone has a gutter on their roof to prevent the roof from being damaged or the water from flooding off into one place and hurting someone, so it's something that's commonly done, but he could reasonably ask you to move the downspout. Now the Mishnah adds, Sulama Mitzri. Well, I want to make one point. The the water runoff, if your water's been running off into a certain neighbor's property, the neighbor could also object if you want to move that runoff because maybe he's using that water for his own purpose and now he has the right to it, after the hazaka is established. Anyway, the Mishnah goes on, Sulama Mitzri, an Egyptian ladder, ein lo hazaka, has no hazaka. If you move this little small portable ladder into your neighbor's property to get up on your roof or maybe clean out your gutter or get to your chicken coop, there's no hazaka there. It's movable. It doesn't establish that it's there permanently. That's suri, but a Tyrian ladder, yesh lo hazaka. This is a larger, heavier ladder that was typically set in place and not moved. Now, linguistically, Mitzri is Egyptian, and Tsuri is from Tsur, from Tyre. But also, Mitzri means Meitzarim, means limits. Means mina Meitzarim is like from the enclosure, from being limited. So it's a limited ladder. And Tsur is something permanent. Surivlo v'latabo. Hatzur tamim pa'olo. It's a word we use to describe Hashem's permanence and nitzchiyut. So it might be literally it's from tzur, or it might be that it's implies a permanent fixture. Now the Mishnah adds halon hamitzrit, a window that is meitzar, either limited or Egyptian. Ein lo hazaka. This is a small window that's typically for ventilation, lets in a little bit of light, but there's not a lot of light coming through. Letzorit, a tzur window, yesh lo hazaka. This is a larger window. So if you build this into your building, the neighbor is not allowed to block off this larger window. The smaller window, he could build something over there and block it. It's not a big major window, not giving you a lot of lights, not giving you a lot of anything. But a larger window, he has no right to block it off from his side. Eizahi cholin a mitzri, which is the mitzri a window. Kol she'ein rosh adam yachol likanas l'tucha. If you can't stick your head through the window, then it's a mitzri window, a limited size window, mostly for ventilation. Yehuda omer im yesh lo malben, if it has a frame, afal pisha in rosh adam yachol likanas l'tucha, even though you can't stick your head through it, harei zeh chazaka. It might be a cholon mitzri, but it's permanent enough if it has a window frame that it's considered to have a hazaka, and the neighbors can't block that window. Aziz is something sticking out, a projection. So maybe you have some beams from your roof that are sticking over the property line into the neighbor's yard, really. Od tefach yesh lo hazaka. If it's larger and up to the size of a tefach or more, then it could establish a hazaka. If the neighbor doesn't say, hey, please cut off the beams that are sticking out of your roof and going over my property, but the neighbor can object. The neighbor can say, I don't want these beams sticking over my property. You're going to come and hang plants on them or hang your laundry on them. I'm not really interested. Pachot mitefach. If it's smaller than a tefach hanging over, ein lo hazaka, the owner of the beams can't establish a hazaka, a right to keep them there. Ein yochel limchot, but the neighbor is not able to object to such a small intrusion on his airspace.